Hey guys, it's Sarah with the Wreath Shop here. I'm going to show you how to make one of these adorable gingerbread girl wreaths that you can find all over Pinterest. I just learned how to make it, and there are so many options you can do with these. You can do them with different colors, different color schemes, different candies, different things, different decor pieces. It's lots of fun and it's really easy, so let's get started. You're going to start with a 16-inch grapevine wreath, and then you are going to cut your mesh. I use one roll of 10-inch mesh, and you don't even use all of it. So if you have some leftover mesh, you can do that. And I'm going to cut my pieces about 28 inches. Doesn't really matter, doesn't have to be particular. So you will not use it all. And then I'm going to curl the ends in. We're gonna do the cruffle, so curl the ends in. And then scrunch up the center. So you get a nice, pretty ruffle like that. And then you're going to need zip ties, and I'm going to lay my gingerbread girl pieces out first, at least the head and the hands, so I can figure out where I want my skirt. So I want my mesh to come up around the bottom half of the wreath to make a skirt. You don't have to pull it up that high. It's gonna spread out, so you can start a little bit lower. So I'm gonna take a zip tie and run it through my grapevine. And to save your fingers and cause you a lot of headache, you can use your scissors to grab that zip tie. Be careful not to grab it too hard and cut it, but just gently grab it. It's way down in there. Just gently. Here. Y'all, it's not my day. I'm gonna use my pliers instead so I don't have to worry about snipping it. Okay, there we go. Pull it through. And then I'm gonna tie the center of my mesh to the grapevine. Nice and snug, so it's nice and tight, so you have this tight center. I'm gonna clip the end of that off, and you can turn it down towards the wreath if you want, but we're gonna fluff our mesh later and you will not see the zip tie. And I did try chenille stems at this, and it did not work that well. It just doesn't tie as tight as the zip tie does, so you kind of end up seeing it. So I'm going to keep cutting my mesh. I'm not sure how many pieces I'm going to end up using. We'll try to count, but I'm going to go ahead and cut several. I'm going to cut 8 to start with, and we'll see if that's enough. So it's 1, 2, 3. So again, I'm going to curl those edges under and then scrunch, 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 scrunch. Take a zip tie and just go next to that piece. If you have one of the thicker branches to go around with your zip tie, that's always best, but I know you don't always have that option. They're all different. So if there's only the skinny little grapevine pieces, just make sure you get at least 3 to go around, I would say. And then make sure you pull that zip tie nice and tight. Get that off. And we have ruffle number 2. We're just going to keep doing that all the way around. I'm having trouble scrunching. Try it this way. If for some reason you wanted to make a bigger skirt, you could also do this with 21-inch mesh, but it would be really big. If you do end up with your centers showing for any reason, you can always take another piece of mesh and lay it the other way and run it vertically instead of horizontally to cover that up. So if we have any issues with any pieces later, we could run a piece like this. And I actually kind of like it just because it does make it look more full, I think. I think I'm gonna do a piece right there in the center. I'm gonna do one piece going sideways in the center of our skirt. So I tied 1, 2, 3 pieces vertically, and then I'm doing one horizontally. Oh, this one's gonna be hard to pull out. I'm going to use my scissors to reach down there and grab it. Also, if you have needle nose pliers, those would be perfect for pulling your zip ties through your wreath. I don't think I have any handy right now. We're going to clip that off. And I think that just adds a little bit of extra fluff there in the middle. And now we're going to go back to laying these vertically. I'm going to take these off. So I think it's easier if you go ahead and get your next zip tie ready before you scrunch your mesh. It's hard to get your zip tie ready while you're holding that. And I picked, this is a difficult wreath to get my grapevines through. It has got the, all the grapevine pieces are just dense. They're all tight together, which is great. That is a great quality wreath, but it's hard to get zip ties and things through. Okay, so roll and scrunch. So once you place the mesh on your wreath, you can still turn it and fluff it so that it's, so they're not all just facing in the same direction. And so you get nice curls kind of everywhere going in all the directions. And it makes it nice and full. I had like one more piece there. So we're doing a total of 9 pieces of mesh at 28 inches. Okay, there we have a nice full skirt, and that's the hard part, getting that done. So now it's fun just to decorate it, and I ended up using 9 pieces of 10-inch mesh cut at 28 inches each. These pieces come with all these metal ties on the back, which are super handy, but they're also really long, and sometimes they have a lot more than you need. So first of all, I'm going to cut this tag off. And we're going to set these so that she's holding something in the center. We could do a lollipop, or we could do a peppermint candy. So I am going to add these. If you want, you can keep these super long and tie them all the way around the grapevine wreath. So I'm gonna poke this one through just inside the edge so it's not wrapping around the outside where you really see it. And then pull it nice and snug against the wreath. And then I have this other one I'm just simply wrapping around the wreath frame, and we're gonna tie it, let me show you. I'm gonna tie it over here in the center or close to the top, on the top of the wreath, so it's not, so we don't want our wires coming back here and poking the door and scratching it. So I'm tying them up here, and then you can take your wire cutters and clip that off. And I'm gonna just poke those down into the wreath. And the wire does run through here, so you can shape it and get it where you want it. I'm gonna do the same with this one. So again, I'm gonna take one and poke it through the wreath towards the outer edge. Poke it all the way through so the arm is nice and snug against the wreath, and then I'm gonna pull it back up and around to the top and wrap it or tie it off. Give it a good twist to tie it off there. Clip that and tuck them down into the wreath. Okay, and then we take the head, and we're gonna cuten this up, of course. We're gonna make her a sweet bow. So I want her head, I don't want it way up here. I really want it down here, close to her hands, kind of to help hold whatever we're gonna put there in place. So there's ties on either side of the head. I'm gonna poke them through kind of the middle of the wreath frame. So it goes all the way down and through, I think. It didn't go through. Here we go. And then just like I did with the arms, I'm gonna bring it around the inside and up. And I'm gonna twist that off. And trim the edge off. You can also just glue these in place onto the grapevine if you want. That's totally fine, you can. I am actually going to come back in a minute and glue some of it down. But first I'm going to take the wires on the other side and do the same as I just did. Now you can see the back. There's this top one too. I am gonna go ahead and tie it down even though it's above, just to help anchor the top of the head. But just be careful, you don't want to pull it back like that. So don't tie it too tight. I'm just gonna put one through the center and run one on the outside again. And it's that center, the one that I put through the center of the wreath, that I'm gonna pull up tight. I'm not gonna pull the top wire down tight. Okay, now I'm gonna add some glue to make sure her head stays where I want it and it's not all wobbly like that. I'm just adding some glue to the back of her head. Hand to the face. Sorry, girl. You stay there. Huh. Okay, so that's looking great. We also have her legs. We can go ahead and add those now too. And you can put these whichever way you want. They can go kind of out like that, or you can do them in. Let's see. I think I'm gonna do these facing out. And again, we're just gonna do the same thing we did before. I don't want her legs up on top of the skirt, of course. I want them under. You don't normally see legs on top of a skirt. So I'm just gonna poke this up through the wreath, up into it, and then back down through, just like we did with all the others. And of course, this is the part where it's all tight. There we go. A good twist and trim those off. Do that again. So there we go. That's what we've got so far. They do hang a bit. You can either tie them up tighter, which I probably needed to do, or add some glue, or both, or whatever. There, I just pulled it up tighter. Again, the wire goes all the way through the leg, so that helps bend and adjust things. I already did a wreath with the lollipop, but what I did was I pulled this bow completely off and made a new bow. Let me show you. This was the one I did before, so you can see I pulled this bow off and then I made a new bow using just the 7/8 inch red ribbon and added it on there. Super cute. You can also add, if you're not using a lollipop or something that you don't have a bow on, and she's just holding something like, I don't know, a piece of cake or an ornament or something, you could do a pretty bow just to add on the skirt, so the skirt would have a bow. Just another idea. So first of all, I'm going to have her hold on to this candy piece, I think. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's gonna be too big. think it's gonna be just fine. So I don't want this. Let me cut that off. See if I can pop that piece off. I don't really like that gold piece sticking out there. Put that end down here where it'll hide in the mesh. And then we're just gonna hot glue this in there. So we're gonna add a little hot glue to the candy right there. So she's holding on to it. And then we're gonna add a little hot glue over here for her to hold on to. If it's big enough, you could also add some glue to stick to the mesh. We can add a little bit. I don't think it's going anywhere, but we can also add a little glue right there. And then she really needs a pretty bow. She can't be bald like that and just have a bare head. So I had some ribbon left over from the peppermint tree I did and the peppermint snowman wreath I did. See, look, she's just holding this. She does not have a lollipop with a cute bow. So now I feel like her skirt needs a bow. So we're gonna make her one. I don't know if I wanna use this ribbon. Actually, I think this might be cute. I'm gonna do her hair bow first because I know what I'm doing for that, and then we'll make her skirt bow. So this is the perfect ribbon. We're just gonna make a little hair bow for her. Hopefully I have enough. Just need the tiniest of a tail. And then we don't want to make it huge. We don't want huge loops on there. That looks pretty good. So those loops are, those are almost 5-inch loops. They're about 4.5-inch loops. And I'm gonna see if I have enough to do 4 loops. I just barely had enough to do 4 loops at 4.5 inches each. And that will be perfect. And then I'm going to add this ribbon on top to touch it up. And we're just gonna do 2 loops, or 1 loop on each side for a total of 2 loops. And then I'm gonna take my floral wire and tie that off. I'm gonna tie it in the center. Make sure it's nice and tight, give it some twists. And then I want to make a pretty center, which there's lots of ways you could do it. If you have a cute little bauble, like a cute little red gem or something, you could stick it in there and glue it in. I don't really have anything here, so I'm just gonna take a piece of my 7/8 inch ribbon and cover that center with that. I'm gonna roll the edges in, kind of crease it. And then I'm just going to add a touch of glue there in the center. And place that right there. And then I'm going to flip it over and continue it around to the back side. And of course I have a lot more ribbon than I need, so I'm going to trim that off. I'm going to run some more glue there to tie those centers down. You could even, to make it a little easier, you could just take a piece of skinny ribbon that you have and just tie it around the center and knot it in the back. It totally works. Just be crafty, you can do whatever. That last edge to stay down. And when you don't want to burn your fingers with the hot glue, you use your pliers, not your scissors, use your pliers. Okay. Now we're gonna fluff our bow and trim it up. So we want to pull our tails down, of course, for a hair bow. I'm gonna go ahead and trim these tails up. I'm going to cut it at a slant with the pointy side down so it slants up. Be careful not to snip your fingers. I snipped mine yesterday, and that is why I have a Band-Aid. It was a bad one, y'all. I really got some skin. I'm gonna trim these up. And we're gonna fluff this. Pull them out. And yes, this is how you can also make hair bows for girls. You just, when you finish it off on the back, you just either put your rubber band through there or a banana clip or alligator clip. I mean an alligator clip. That's how you make cute hair bows for girls too. And this is a great way to use extra ribbon too. You can make hair bows for girls or for your different creatures that you put on your wreaths. And there you have a cute little bow. And we want to put it on her sweet little head. Get it where you want to position it so it'll be seen, and it's on the front of her head, not too far at the top, but you also don't want to cover her eyes. So what I'm doing is I'm taking the floral wire and I'm just shoving it through her face. That sounds horrible. But that's what I'm doing to make it secure, but then we're gonna glue it too. You can just glue it, but the felt is kind of difficult with the glue. So I wired it through, and then we'll add some glue too. She got a big old bow. Look at those little girls you see in the cutest little outfits, and their mama puts a bow the size of their head on them. But they're cute. and then you can refluff it. And it could be a little heavy and wobbly. See, even though I glued it down, it is a big old bow, so it's gonna wobble a little bit, but it is not going anywhere. And then when you hang it, it'll stay put, or add a little movement to your wreath. Add a little bit more glue. Try to hold it a little more steady. So rather than just putting glue under the knot, I already put some to the sides of it, but I'm going to do a little bit more. Try to hold it a little more steady. Here's our sweet girl so far. We're going to add a little bow to her skirt. I also have some candy cane ribbon left over we could use. I think that would be cute. Now y'all are gonna want measurements. You'll always want measurements, and I don't measure. So I just measure it up against the creation that I'm making. So it looks fine. So this is, again, I did 4.5 inch loops. That seems to be my go-to. Each loop is about 4.5 inches. That off. We're going to add the 7/8 inch ribbon. Just like that. And I'm going to tie it off with my floral wire. You can also use a chenille stem, whatever works for you. Figure out how we're going to attach this to the skirt. I haven't thought of that yet. We'll probably just glue it onto the mesh, I imagine. We can take the wire and shove it through there possibly. I don't know how good that'll be, but let's see. We're going to cover that little piece of wire again. Fold the edges in. Put a little dab of glue. Pretty skirt bow. Let's see how we want to add this here. still have tiny little pieces of the wire left hanging back here. I'm just shoving it through a piece of mesh right here at the top. And we're going to see what happens. Give it a twist. Y'all, I think it worked. So I'm going to leave that up to you. That worked. If you do have the skinny little floral wire, that totally worked. Otherwise, I would just glue it onto the mesh. But if you have something that she's holding on to that you can glue it to and it still looks like it's part of the skirt, you can do that as well. She is so far. And then you can stop there or you can keep going. We have a million peppermint themed pieces that you could add to her. You can add some fun sprays. So I did this on that other one and I love these peppermint stripe sprays. You just pull them apart. I'm going to trim that end a little bit. Stick those in there. I always stick the wires in and then glue it in as well. I'm going to trim this piece. I'm just going to play and see how I like things before I make anything permanent. It is really long. And that was all just from one spray. Those are great sprays. You get all 5 of those from one. And you can make these coils a little looser if you'd like. And then she needs a little bit something else. We've got this cute candy cane spray. We have so many things, guys. You could, these, I love these. I love these, would be super fun too. We also have these fun balls. These would be really cute in there. On the other one, I added these in. I think I'm going to add this in on this one. I love these balls. They're really cute. I think they're really inexpensive too. I want to say they're maybe $3 for all of this. I don't know if we want all on one side. I don't think we need all that. We'll do a few on each side. So you can just pull these right off. And they're going to be hard to do something with these super long stems, so we'll trim them as soon as I find what I do with my wire cutters. You want to make sure you have some of each size on each side. Just kind of play with them and see how to place them. I think that's cute. So we'll do that. So I'm going to trim these up so I can get them placed on the grapevine. Again, I'm just going to shove the stem down into the grapevine, and then we'll go back and add glue. And then do the other side. I think it's fun to leave that one kind of out there, hanging out. All right, so I'm going to go back and glue everything in now. And there we go. She's done. Super cute. Love how she turned out. And you can do as little or as much as you want with these. You could keep going and add more candies and sweets and sprays and fun things if you wanted. Some other ideas I had were, like, if you wanted to do a candy themed one, match her cheeks, that would be super cute. And we have some really fun things she could be holding, like the gingerbread house, or this "We Whisk You a Merry Christmas" sign. So many great things. Look at this adorable donut. I think I'm gonna have to make one of these. I think I'm gonna do one of these next. Super cute. Lots of ideas. You can find all of the supplies on the wreathshop.com. We will drop links for you in the details below the video. And happy crafting.